The forecast is that it will be 3. The number before this one was 3. Could you at any point, if it's not too much trouble, change the text you are alluding to? Say thanks to subsequently, we will probably see a little expansion in the Bitcoin cost. Before we begin discussing where it's difficult for Bitcoin to go up, we should discuss where it needs to go up straight away. This is significant due to the CPI information that is coming out soon. I figure we ought to zero in on the area where costs remain nearby yesterday. We examined how this region here seems as though an example shaped before Bitcoin began to dip under a help level. This level is vital. As of now, I'm checking the 4-hour time period since there was a 4-hour request block. Presently, how about we additionally utilize the Fibonacci retracement to gauge the entire move in one bearing, and you'll see our objective Fibonacci proportion. Presently, I think you are correct. It's not precisely matching our 4-hour request block, yet we can see that the objective Fibonacci proportion is arriving close to our past lows. Presently, when we really take a look at our bottommost extremes previously and the 4-hour block of requests, we can see that we can interface the most noteworthy and bottommost extremes to make an opposition region. What's more, here, that's what you'll see in the event that Bitcoin goes up in the following couple of hours. It could expand a ton in view of the insane changes in the market because of CPI information discharge. Indeed, this will happen now. Our start a region in the local that is difficult to survive or safe. I'm not exactly keen on selling Bitcoin at this moment, however, in the event that you got it at a lower value, this could be a great chance to sell some and create a gain. In the event that the cost goes up beyond a specific point on the outline, a higher degree of obstruction is at 44,000. A couple of hours prior, we saw an effective negative cross on the 1-hour graph when we checked our moving midpoints out. Indeed, our 50 and 200 moving midpoints crossed in a descending heading. Truly, I don't think this is an extremely regrettable sign for Bitcoin. Indeed, at the present time the pattern for the following hour is getting somewhat more fragile, however I actually think so. We should purchase or clutch a stock at significant help levels. What's our most memorable area of help where we can hope to purchase another stock, or clutch it.in the event that the ongoing Bitcoin cost remains something similar for the rest of the day, and it's in the green, then we will have another everyday cost. Longer time span, place where the cost is upheld, exactly at 41,245. In the event that we see the cost go down, it could retest the day-to-day level. We could likewise see some obstruction at that level. Furthermore, we additionally imagine that, as a rule, things are as yet looking positive. That is the explanation. The brilliant Fibonacci proportion and the everyday graph can show us a decent spot to purchase Bitcoin at another greater cost. We can put a stop misfortune request beneath the help region, which is under 41,200. Presently, our Ether stochastic TGO oscillator on the everyday diagram is showing a decent reset. We went descending with a push and made a turn from the exceptionally top on the right side. Presently, we are near selling more than we have. Exactly the same thing is occurring consistently as well. We are beginning to move descending in light of the fact that Bitcoin is gradually going down. I don't believe it's too oversold yet, however we are seeing a little reset. We are presently seeing a little diminishing. Previously, when we were exchanging high, the cost of Bitcoin went down somewhat, however at that point continued onward up. We went down to the oversold region and afterward Bitcoin went up. Thus, I think when this one is being purchased excessively, or when the cost is going up on the outline here, it implies it's presumably a great chance to purchase Bitcoin. I actually feel that, as a general rule, we can be good about Bitcoin. By and large, we might expect there at any point conjecture will be 3. 1 and the past one was precisely 3. 2, so thus, most likely in the impending hours, we can expect marginally higher unpredictability in the Bitcoin value itself. Furthermore, before we really do discuss an area of obstruction that was not referenced yesterday, presently, what is the following vital area of opposition we should know about, assuming that Bitcoin will see a push towards the potential gain in the forthcoming hours due to the CPI information discharge here? I would agree that we want to focus on the previous area of solidification. Presently, obviously we discussed it, this region here, it seems as though it was some sort of a cost activity that was shaped before one more slack towards drawback, before Bitcoin really began losing our area of help. Also, for that reason I would agree that this level here is a significant one. Likewise right currently looking on the 4-hourly time span, since it was really a 4-hour request block. Presently, not just that, imagine a scenario where we go with our Fibonacci retracement and we will quantify the whole move towards some side. You will see that our objective Fibonacci proportion. Presently, I would concur with you. It's not totally lining up with our 4-hour request block, however we can see that the objective Fibonacci proportion is landing roughly at our past lows. Presently, when we take a gander at our past lows and furthermore our 4-hourly request block, obviously, we can interface our past ups and furthermore our past downs to frame a zone of obstruction of some sort or another. Furthermore, here you're really going to see that assuming Bitcoin right now in the forthcoming hours proceeds with higher, perhaps wakes towards the potential gain in light of crazy unpredictability that we can expect in the impending hours on account of CPI information. Discharge. Obviously, this here will be at the present time. Our first neighborhood obstruction. Presently, buy and buy, I'm not exactly intrigued going with a short or a sell position at this time on Bitcoin. However, in any case, this here, on the off chance that you're perhaps in a long or a purchase position from the base here, obviously can be perhaps a first take benefit region. Assuming that our brilliant pocket and our zone of opposition here, does he break towards the potential gain, a higher level, then, at that point, it will be just our 2 everyday high term time from areas of protections at 44,000. Presently 2 or 3 hours prior, we got an effective negative cross on the 1 hour time period, checking our remarkable moving midpoints out. So indeed, our 50 and furthermore our 200 remarkable moving normal got a negative cross. Presently, frankly, I wouldn't actually say that this here will be a very negative Bitcoin sign. Indeed, we can express that on the 1 hour time span, the pattern as of right currently is somewhat debilitating. However, I would in any case agree. We can be intrigued going with a spick and span long or a tight spot position at vital key areas of help. Presently, what will be our most memorable area of help where possibly we can be searching for a pristine long or a tight spot? Assuming that Bitcoin will close our everyday flame, as it is the present moment, that being said green, we will affirm a pristine day today. High term time span, area of help, precisely at 41,245. That is the reason on the off chance that we do see, obviously, a push towards disadvantage, a retest of our day-to-day level, and you will see that assuming there will be a slight dismissal at our zone of opposition, as referenced previously, obviously, can likewise be brilliant Fibonacci proportion can be our everyday level, and furthermore we will realize that general talking, we are as yet looking sort of bullish. That is the reason. Brilliant Fibonacci proportion and the everyday can be a region where we can be searching for a shiny new lengthy, or a purchasing position on the Bitcoin value itself with an extremely straightforward stop misfortune situation underneath our help region, under 41,200. Presently, when we go with our various pointers, for instance, our Ether stochastic TGO oscillator on the day-to-day time period as of right currently is seeing an extremely pleasant reset. With a push towards the disadvantage, we bended from the upper here. What's more, as of the present moment, we are coming to practically the oversold region. What's more, a very much like thing is additionally occurring on the week-by-week time period. Here, we began bending towards drawback right now that Bitcoin is seeing this tiny push towards disadvantage. Presently I would agree that it's not actually at the oversold region at this time, yet by the by, we are seeing an exceptionally slight reset. We are seeing right now a slight curve back towards disadvantage. Beforehand, when we were exchanging at the upper here, we got a push towards disadvantage likewise on the Bitcoin cost, and afterward we just proceeded with a lot higher. Likewise here, we returned towards disadvantage, towards the oversold region, a push towards the UPS to Bitcoin really happened. Thus, I would agree that when this one here will begin being oversold, or perhaps when the everyday time span on the Athers here will begin bending towards the potential gain, it is certainly previously going to be some sort of a bullish Bitcoin sign. Be that as it may, I would in any case agree, generally, we can remain bullish on Bitcoin. Generally, we can be anticipating higher targets. In any case, you want to comprehend that possibly, as referenced previously, we could be framing some sort of an ABC adjustment here. However, by and by, at an areas of help, we can in any case be searching for a SPIC and SP. In the wake of being rejected, Bitcoin is showing a little bounce back and going to our help level. The video on determining Bitcoin's cost is critical, as it tends to the forthcoming arrival of CPI information and blueprints the vital exchanging levels for the next hours. In the first place, we should recollect our video from yesterday before we start. We examined our enormous help area of around 42,000. Recently, the help level for Bitcoin was broken and the value began to move lower. It framed a higher low on the Bibit outline north of a 2-hour time span. Thus, for what reason was there a decent opportunity of the cost going up, or possibly a decent opportunity of it improving? We ought to take a gander at our CVD pointer and furthermore check the graphs from different trades like Coinbase and Bitstamp. In the first place, assuming you take a gander at the BIMBI outline, you will see that the CVD marker is showing a lower low while Bitcoin is beginning to shape a higher low. The strain from purchasers is solid, so the cost didn't go lower, which gives a positive indication for the market. To this end, we are seeing the cost go up by around 4% from the base. Assuming that we take a gander at the Coinbase and Bitstamp graphs now, there is a decent opportunity that the cost will go up on the grounds that it has gone higher than the past, falling short on the two trades. On Bitstamp, the cost has gone lower, and on Coinbase, the graph seems to be comparable. A new depressed spot. This lower low was framed with a ton of exchanging action, particularly on the 4-hour outline. There was really exchanging action when the cost went down contrasted with when it went up in the wake of arriving at the past low. Individuals down there got injured without a doubt. The financial exchange went down, however, is presently beginning to go up again on the grounds that more individuals are purchasing stocks. This is causing the market to appear noticeably more appealing. That is the manner by which I see it.at this moment. We can see a 5-wave design on the Coinbase outline, however just a 3-wave design on the BIB graph. To begin with, how about we check out at the graph for Coinbase? On the 4-hour or perhaps the 2-hour diagram, we can see a new low cost. We can likewise see an example of 5 waves, first up, then down, then up, then, at that point, down, lastly down once more. It appears as though there are 5 waves going down. On the Coinbase graph, we see another high at 44,700. However, on the more modest diagram, we can't say there's a 5-wave cost design. Presently there is another choice accessible. I need to show you that in the event that this count is right, Bitcoin is logical shaping a crisscross remedy. What does it mean? The descending development we're seeing is only the start of our A wave. This moment, we are completing our A wave, and there may be a B wave straight away, which would mean one more absence of a remedy. And afterward, we were pushed down again to wrap up. Our ABC amendment probably won't be right since we can count 3 waves rather than 5. This is like the very thing we saw on Bybit in light of the fact that it had a higher high. We discussed this yesterday. That is the reason we likewise need an alternate method for counting. At the point when we examine it, I like to utilize the Coinbase outline and discuss an ABC remedy. So, at the point when we take a gander at the dropping costs, I believe all things considered, it was a progressive decrease in 3 phases, as opposed to an unexpected drop. That is the reason we could likewise consider marking this entire revision as a 3-section cost design. At this moment, we can say our A wave is here as we go with our ABC. Our development outside resembled our B wave, and when we drove further, it resembled our C wave. Thus, we can say that this was a basic remedy. We can likewise say exactly the same thing with a 2-fold diagram. We have 3 waves, A, B, and C. Since we arrived at a higher pinnacle and there's a possibility arriving at a significantly higher top during a level revision. At the point when an ABC is finished, and Bitcoin is currently after a terrible dismissal, seeing a little recuperation back into our help region. However, the present Bitcoin cost forecast video will be a significant one since we really want to discuss CPI information discharge, and furthermore what are the following key levels that we can be hoping to exchange from in the impending hours. However, what we, most importantly, will see, recall the previous video. We discussed our colossal area of help at around 42,000. The help level yesterday, tragically, it was broken towards drawback and Bitcoin unexpectedly began shaping some sort of a higher low looking on the 2-hour time span on the Bybit diagram. Presently, for what reason was here a seriously high likelihood of a skip here, or entirely a high likelihood of a recuperation of some sort or another? I would agree that we really want to take into the thought our CVD pointer and furthermore the outline from different trades like Coinbase, and furthermore Bitstamp. Most importantly, at the present time looking on the BIMBI diagram, you will see lower low was framing on our CVD pointer while Bitcoin unexpectedly began shaping a higher low of some sort, or another. So what's the significance here? Negative strain was coming in the market in a real sense precisely at the low here, however greater players were retaining the standing tension. For that reason the cost didn't make a fresh out of the box new lower low ingestion, bullish CVD uniqueness happening the very base here, bullish sign, and to that end right now we are seeing this exceptionally pleasant push towards the potential gain, and assuming we truly do quantify it from the base here to the area where we are exchanging right now, somewhat more than 4%. Presently, why, in the event that we go right now with the Coinbase diagram and furthermore with the Bitstamp graph, we likewise got a seriously high likelihood of one more push towards the potential gain, essentially on the grounds that on both of those trades here, we took out our past low. On Bitstamp, a lower low has framed and furthermore, looking on the Coinbase diagram, very much like thing. A pristine lower low. Furthermore, this lower low here was shaped on a seriously huge volume going at present. For instance, on the 4-hour time period, you are in any event going to see there was a higher volume increment versus what we got on this particular push towards some side in the wake of taking our past burden, which essentially implies individuals at the low here most certainly got destroyed. Swing disappointment design, a liquidity snatch in a blend with bullish disparity with retention happening precisely at the base, and to that end in some measure as I would see it we are correct now seeing this extremely decent recuperation, this exceptionally pleasant push toward the potential gain. Presently something vital, that we can currently recognize will be a 5-wave cost structure on the Coinbase outline, however just a 3-wave cost structure, on the BIB graph. How about we go as a matter of some importance with the Coinbase diagram here? Suppose on the 4-hour or quite perhaps on the 2-hour time span, since we got a pristine lower low structure here, we can distinguish some sort of a 5-wave cost structure that being said first drive here, revision, another motivation, another remedy, and one more motivation towards drawback. It appears as though we can count 5 waves straightforwardly towards disadvantage. On the Coinbase graph, however then again, we can't discuss a 5-wave cost structure here on the child diagram, on the grounds that plainly here, we got a fresh out of the box new higher high at 44,700. Presently there is additionally an option counted. I might likewise want to show you, yet by the by, assuming this here is a right count with our 5-wave cost structure, we can say that Bitcoin is most presumably shaping a crisscross remedy. What's the significance here? This push towards the drawback was correct. Now just the principal drop down with our wave. At the point when we are correct now seeing our wave getting done, obviously, a B wave is conceivable, and that implies one more absence of a revision. And afterward obviously, one more push towards drawback for us to complete essentially our ABC revision, something we previously discussed yesterday. However, at the present time, imagine a scenario where our 5-way structure here is certainly not a right count, and we can count 3-wave cost structure comparative, what we likewise got on Bybit in light of the fact that as referenced here, it was a higher high. What's more, to that end we additionally need to have an elective count of some sort. At the point when that's what we discuss, I would in any case go with the Coinbase graph and discuss an ABC rectification. That being said, at the point when we take a gander at this